Have you heard a song that sounds soft and electronic, yet feels surprisingly human at the center? That's The Quiet Power of Human by the Human League, a track that arrived in 1986 at a moment when technology was reshaping pop music, but emotions were still searching for a clear voice inside all those machines. This podcast episode is about the band known for cool, futuristic synth-pop suddenly stepping into something warmer, more reflective, a song that didn't hide behind style, but used electronic sound to talk about vulnerability and forgiveness. To understand Human, you have to step into the mid-80s. By this point, synthesizers were no longer experimental tools used only by underground artists. They were everywhere, on radio, on television, in shopping malls, in cars cruising under neon lights. The Human League had already reshaped pop music earlier in the decade, with songs like Don't You Want Me, helping define the sound of British New Wave. But by 1986, expectations were different. Audiences wanted songs that felt more mature, more emotionally layered, without losing that modern electronic edge. And instead of repeating the icy minimalism of their earlier work, the band made a bold decision: collaborate with American R&B producer Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, the same creative force behind Janet Jackson's Control. That partnership changed everything. When Human was recorded, it represented a bridge between two musical worlds. On one side, you had the Human League's European synth-pop roots, structured rhythms, cool melodies, and a sense of distance that defined early 80s electronic music. On the other side, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis brought a warmer, more groove-oriented production style shaped by Minneapolis funk and contemporary R&B. The result wasn't a clash, it was a transformation. Instead of sharp, mechanical beats, Human moves with a softer pulse. The drum programming feels smooth, almost conversational. Synth textures float rather than dominate, and Philip Oakey's vocal delivery, calm, reflective, slightly vulnerable, sits at the center like someone telling a quiet truth late at night. One of the reasons Human connected so deeply with listeners is its honesty. The song tells the story of two people admitting mistakes and choosing understanding instead of blame. In a decade often associated with big drama and larger-than-life performances, this track feels almost understated. The line, "I'm only human, of flesh and blood and made," doesn't sound like an excuse. It sounds like a moment of acceptance, a recognition that relationships are complicated, and forgiveness is sometimes the only way forward. That emotional clarity helped the song stand out on radio. It wasn't about fantasy, it was about real conversations people recognized from their own lives. If you enjoy this kind of deep listening and reflection, join us live every week with the 90s Lover Show on Fridays and with the 80s Lover Show on Saturdays, both live at 7 p.m. Eastern on our YouTube and Kick channels. I first start the YouTube live stream for around 10 minutes, just to allow people some time to gather as a kind of waiting room, and then we continue the full show live stream on Kick, where we can play full music, video clips with no restrictions. I share the link to Kick for you all to move there. And on Kick is where things really come alive, with the 4 show segments, your song request, live voting, your voice messages on air, and even phone calls to share memories, stories, and reflections connected to the music and life. You can participate or simply listen, and if you feel like participating, you can do it the Kicks livestream chat or by leaving comments on the main post of our public Facebook group, which allows more space to write. Join our public group on Facebook by searching for RetroLovers Radio 80s and 90s Nostalgia. Make sure also to subscribe on YouTube and turn on the notification bell. And keep an eye on all the 6 extra monthly special shows as well. By 1986, digital recording techniques were evolving quickly. Producers were experimenting with drum machines, sequencers, and synthesizers that allowed for incredible precise arrangements. But what makes Human special is how those tools are used gently. The bassline moves smoothly beneath the song, giving it a steady heartbeat. Layered keyboard pads create a sense of space, like soft light filling a room. And the vocal harmonies, subtle, supportive, add emotional depth without overwhelming the melody. It's electronic music that feels warm rather than cold. A reminder that machines don't remove emotion. They can frame it in new ways. Released in late 1986, Human quickly climbed the charts and became the Human League's second #1 hit on the US Billboard Hot 100. That achievement reflected more than just commercial success. It showed that audiences were ready for synth-pop that explore mature themes. In the UK and across Europe, the song reinforced the band's ability to evolve without losing their identity. Instead of repeating past formulas, they allowed new influences to reshape their sound. And sometimes that's the key to longevity in music, knowing when to change without abandoning what makes you unique. If this podcast episode is bringing back some good memories, maybe the glow of a late night music video or a quiet moment listening through headphones, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel, and share in the comments how you first discovered Human by the Human League. The mid-80s were full of bold visuals, dramatic fashion, and high-concept music videos. Yet Human didn't rely on extravagance. Its presentation leaned towards simplicity, reflecting the emotional tone of the song. Philip O'Kee's presence remained distinctive, tall silhouette, striking style, but the focus shifted away from theatrical imagery toward a more grounded expression. It felt like a band stepping back from a spectacle to let the music speak more directly. That decision helped the song age well. Without heavy reliance on trends, it feels timeless rather than tied to a specific moment. And why Human still matters today. Listening now, decades later, Human feels surprisingly modern. Themes of honesty, accountability, and emotional growth resonate strongly in a world where people are increasingly open about vulnerability. The production also holds up beautifully. What once sounded futuristic now feels classic, a reminder that thoughtful arrangement and sincere songwriting can outlast changing trends. And maybe that's the real legacy of the track. It shows that electronic music doesn't have to be distant. It can be intimate. It can feel like a quiet conversation between two people trying to understand each other. So before we close, I would like to hear from you. Do you remember where you first heard Human by the Human League? Was it on the radio, on MTV, or discovered years later through playlists and nostalgia channels? Does the song feel like a romantic confession, or more like a reflection on personal growth? And when you listen today, does it sound more electronic or more emotional? Please write your thoughts in the comments. Every memory adds another layer to this shared soundtrack. So, do you remember now? This music gave you joy. Now, allow this moment to receive that feeling. Alright, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and stick with me until the last moment of this podcast episode. And see you all in the next one.